Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hey, this is Jackie Kashian. Welcome to the Dork Forest. I'm me. You're listening to the Dork Forest. Let's do the credits. Mike Rickbert composed and sang that song you just heard. He's going to sing his version of the Mexican hat dance, words he wrote, at the end of the program. Patrick Brady's going to fix this audio, and Vilmos fixes my website. My website is JackieKashian.com. There's also DorkForest.com. There is a million ways to listen to the Dork Forest: iTunes, AllThingsComedy.com, SoundCloud, some sort of app that you download all of your podcasts to, and whatever you do, if you want to support the show, review the show on any of those platforms. Knock yourself out. And thanks a lot for listening. Here's the scoop, folks. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is my new CD. That's right. Got a brand new CD out. It's out about a month and a half, 2 months out now. It's called I Am Not the Hero of This Story. It is very good, if I might say so myself. It was number 1 on iTunes and Amazon and number 3 on Billboard the first week it came out. And it's been critically pretty well received. So I hope you like it. You can get it on Amazon or iTunes. You can get a hard copy of it on my website. Feel free to email me, Jackie@JackieKashian.com, if you want that signed, if there is no option to ticket that you want it signed when you buy it. You can get all of my CDs and all of my t-shirts on JackieKashian.com on the store page, on the merch page. There are Dork Forest t-shirts, Ranger t-shirt, and just logo t-shirt. There's a Spooky Reading Girl t-shirt, which is a reference to one of my jokes and super fun. And the DVD of the last CD, the only DVD I've got, it's called This'll Make an Excellent Horcrux, and it's the DVD of that set. So that's what's on the merch page. Other ways to support the show: review the show on iTunes and Amazon. You can review the album. That'd be great. And you can donate to the show via PayPal or Venmo. Venmo is just under Jackie@JackieKashian.com. PayPal, there's a button. And the button, you just click on that and do whatever you do on PayPal. And I appreciate any donations that you like to do. If you like to give monthly, I have not made that easy, but I'd appreciate that if you like. Dork Forest, part of an umbrella podcast group called AllThingsComedy.com, where there are a lot of other podcasts that you should tune into and listen to. And just go to allthingscomedy.com and check it out. This week in stand-up comedy, you can always find my full schedule on JackieKashian.com on the tour page. You can follow me on all the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, @JackieKashian. There's a fan page on Facebook, essentially Facebook.com/The Dork Forest, and that is my stand-up and Dork Forest fan page. There is a Ranger page on Facebook called Dork Forest Rangers, where you can interact with other fans of the show. And I have another podcast on Nerdist. If you like a lot of podcasts and you like stand-up comedy and me, it's called The Jackie and Laurie Show, and it's on Nerdist. Enough of this. Let's get into the show. Hey, it's Jackie Kashian. I'm in my living room with All Things Comedy founder, stand-up comic, actor. Last time he was on the podcast, it was entirely about, I think it was all about money and making the sale, and it was great. It was Al Madrigal. I should probably say your name.
Yeah, we recorded that last one. It was in Daily Show offices.
Like 2 years ago, yeah.
It had to be longer because I haven't been there full time since 2013.
So it might have been 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing Jon Stewart, and I've never met him, but I was like, oh, there's that guy. That guy's famous. Look at that guy.
He's walking around.
He's walking around like a person. He's not being carried on the backs of elephants, which is what I always suspect.
Oh, yeah. It's just the, what are they called? Not even elephants when you have, it's like the pallbearer, people who just carry you on their shoulders.
Right. It's obnoxious. I'm thinking of turning into Marie Antoinette any minute now, and then they could just kill me. But that doesn't even make any sense. There's a longer story there. I'm going to spare it because I want to talk about, because there's only an hour. Let's, first of all, @AlMadrigal is your Twitter, and almadrigal.com is everywhere to find out where you're doing stand-up or what's going on.
Sure.
You have a new TV show that's coming on Showtime called I'm Dying Up Here.
All about stand-up comedy in the 70s.
Yep.
Cool. You talked to Cindy Campanera about that. She wrote on it.
You had mutton chops for a long time.
I was rocking a humongous mustache, and at the same time, it's like, so I grew out this huge mustache, and I had these monster sideburns, and my glasses, and then normal hair, sort of shortish hair. So I put this wig on. And I was meeting all of these new parents at my son's new school.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Who thought I was just creep. Because I don't go, hey, I'm an actor, and this is the thing.
Right, what's creepier?
Yeah.
Is to just let them assume, and then the next time they see you, you look like a person who lives in this
Which
century.
is what I did.
Yeah, that's where you left it?
Yeah.
You're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Judge me.
Totally.
It's and that will...
No one talked to me, and then I started looking normal, and because I'm very nice, and I talk to people, but again, it's a very conservative school. He goes to Loyola. It's a school, all boys school in LA, and so but I rock this humongous mustache. I'm playing this sort of Freddie Prinze Cheech hybrid character, named Edgar Martinez. So it's cool. If you're a fan of stand-up comedy, you're gonna like this.
And
show.
of Cheech and Chong.
Yes.
And of I've been pitching it for decades. It's two Latino women moved to Los Angeles. It's Cheech and Chong meets Bosom Buddies.
Great.
They got to live at the Y, so they got to dress like guys.
Melissa Villaseñor could be in that.
Oh my God, she would be great. And I haven't had her on the show yet. That is a pity. So anyway, so you've got I'm Dying Up here on Showtime, and then it just came out when this goes out. Your special is also on Showtime, and it's called Shrimpin' Ain't Easy.
Shrimpin' Ain't Easy.
And I know that bit, and it's a great bit.
A lot of anger problems and issues that are deep rooted, and I'm really, really, really trying to do a good job of controlling my temper.
Are you a fan of the Hulk?
I'm a big fan of the Hulk. Sure.
I have it's my unsubstantiated poll. The guys that are I finally realized why people like the Hulk. It was in the first Avengers movie when he said, "My secret is I'm always angry." So the Hulk is always there.
Sure. Yeah.
And it takes every ounce of effort to keep him Bruce Banner.
Well, I just read these 3 Old Man Logan comic books, and the Hulks in the first one are the bad guys. Bruce Banner, he goes bad. And he starts just like inbreeding all of the Hulks. So there's this crazy Hulk community where they're just like white trash. Is what the Hulks are. But they go around like roughing people up, and then they eat the people. They're eating all the humans. So
all right.
Yeah. That so Logan sort of.
Logan. Yeah. So we're psyched that Hawkeye killed. That's in current continuity. Hawkeye killed Hulk.
To stop what.
And Bruce Banner was like, "You got to kill me," and so Hawkeye did, and now he was on trial for killing the Hulk, and he was acquitted. It's fine. It was self-defense, they said, even though it was not. It was.
Did I ever tell you what my coolest sort of like the comic book story the thing that happened to me real quick, just as an aside?
Yeah, please.
So I go and do this podcast. I think it's a Nerdist podcast. It's when I first show up at the Daily Show. It's called Comic Book Live. And I go in there, and I'm sitting with this guy waiting to go on, and you can find this podcast and listen to this happen. Yeah. But this guy has a picture of his son playing basketball on an iPad. Yeah. And he's going to be the guest, and I have no idea who he is. I was just rushing around like I always am, and I jam, and I see this guy, and I go, "Hey, is your son into basketball?" My son likes basketball. And he goes, "Yes, my son loves basketball. He's 9 years old. He's really into it. He scored 28 points in a game." Oh, my gosh. And then I go, "And I don't want to one-up you, but my son's 9. Yep. And he scored 34 points in that game." Yeah, so, we have 2 sons who love basketball. And I go, "Oh, that's amazing." Yeah, and he's a tiny guy. And he goes, "My son's a tiny guy. That's crazy." And so he takes off his jacket, and he has a shirt that says San Francisco Psycho on it. Okay. And I go, "You from San Francisco?" I go, "I went to SI." Yeah. St. Ignatius College Preparatory for Boys. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "I went to SI."
Wait.
Yes. And
was this your brother?
Yeah, pretty much. And so then talks about what neighborhood he grew up in. Holy shit, this is amazing. Like that. But he graduated in 1984, and I graduated in 1989, so I had no idea who he really was. So then we're on the podcast, and we're talking about how basically what superheroes we love. And as a kid growing up, I go, "I love Blue Beetle.
Right.
Because it's Jaime Reyes. He's this El Paso kid. The latest incarnation of this character is that he's this Mexican kid from El Paso.
That's right.
Which, by the way, I'd love to write that movie because I think it would be great. I just want to
And that's got all kinds of potential.
Oh, my God, yeah. Is my laser, bro?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I go, because I'm half Mexican, I just love Blue Beetle. I don't know, I'm just any ethnic, like Apache Chief, I'm super friendly. Like anybody that was
you like
like
Nightwolf in Mortal Kombat?
Any sort of ethnic minority superhero, I'm all over. So I go, because I'm half Mexican. He goes, did you say you're half Mexican? He goes, I'm half Mexican.
What?
So
what?
We
it just continues.
Yeah, so we discover that, and this guy is Axel Alonso, who's the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics.
Oh my God!
So he, anyway,
that's hilarious.
My wife's half Korean. His wife Annie is Korean. The kids meet, and they're the exact same kid. Tito and Lorenzo are the two kids that, and they immediately became fast friends. They have the exact same taste. They have everything in common. Like they just love all the same stuff. They immediately, when we were in Brooklyn for the 2 summers that I was on the Daily Show, and they sort of came out to hang out with me, these 2 kids became fast friends.
Right.
So I'm sure they'd pick up right where they left off today.
Yeah.
And, we still keep in touch. He's a huge fan of the Golden State Warriors and the San Francisco 49ers, which I'm a big Bay Area sports fan.
Sure, those are both sports.
So, he, we have all, the same interests. And anyway.
But he's the editor of Marvel?
He's the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics. Hilarious. He couldn't be a cooler guy.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this because we have the exact same upbringing.
Right. Obviously, it's all work. It's like looking in a mirror.
It really is. It's so cool. But I really, city people have that. But to find another half Mexican, I'm so excited to oh, you're half Mexican? I'm half Mexican. What side? And so we, to find a guy who's all things. And so whenever I hear anybody talk about Hulk or any Marvel comics,
you'd love that. That's a great story. And that was on the Nerdist?
That was on Comic Book Live,
which is on the Nerdist
Network show that I'm not even sure exists.
I'm sure it's in archives.
Yeah.
So find that, you guys. El Madrigal. So here's when you said I want to talk about Jack Reacher.
Yes.
I thought to myself, oh my God, you are like, I don't know. I always think of you as being like just special ops training away from being Jack Reacher.
Like I told somebody, I was on a show the other day, and I was like, they were talking about how crazy I can get, I really feel like if I could be one of those guys who could duct tape some knives into his hands, just go over. I feel like there's something in me, and in this latest special that came out, I talk about where it all comes from.
Right.
And my grandfather, I just learned that the only reason he was in the United States is because he killed a guy.
Oh, so he had to go.
Macheted a dude in the head. And,
oh my God.
And then I talk about throughout the special, it's like, I have this machete in a sheath, and it's ready to go.
Right.
And then on the other side, I'm half Mexican, half Sicilian, and so I just really do feel crazy.
Right.
We actually, I did a show with you a long, long time ago in Echo Park, and I remember you telling a similar sort of
anger
story where it's
Rangers of the Dork Forest know that I have some anger issues. I pushed an old man a month ago.
Sure.
It isn't right. But what's the worst part of it is when I feel like I'm right. Like, if I have self-righteousness on my side.
Yeah.
And this was an 80-year-old man who was screaming at a rent-a-cop and calling him the N-word. And was telling him that he was Haitian and he had fucked monkeys and he'd caused AIDS. And then I got in his face because we live here in America and it's not okay in my head. And so then he said something, it escalated. I didn't push him down, but I pushed it's never okay. It's not okay to push an 80-year-old man.
No.
And at this point, that's the only guy I can take, right? So, you'd think.
Yeah, but I would do something too. And then now it's a month later, but the United Airlines incident where the man is dragged off the plane, the guy
sitting in front of him just sat there. I watched that video and all I could think was, what's that guy doing? I really
couldn't let that happen. I know I couldn't. I know I would have not just been yelling, leave him alone. I am positive that I would have stood up.
Yeah.
and done something.
I hope that I would have stood up and at least been. I have a new bit about being a white lady meat shield, and I would like a small statue.
Yes, that's
and
perfect.
but I was like, there's no, because people do these things, and I was like, I was like, are you going to do that to me, to a middle-aged white lady?
No,
you aren't.
You're not. You could get together with other white ladies like the Power Rangers and form a large meat shield.
Right. It's just like, do young black men need to be walked home from school? And how irritating is it that they would have to ask me to do that? Because that it's not it's emasculating, but I mean, it's like the injustice of it is so enormous. Anyway,
so
Jack
I feel like
Reacher
I get
will
involved.
fix things.
Yes, Jack Reacher, and there's great.
The only one I've read.
Which was Killing Floor, right?
I didn't read Killing Floor. I just looked up all the ones. I read the one where there was the Duncan family owned some small town in Nebraska, and they had a Quonset hut with little bodies of little girls.
Oh wow!
And there was a little boy. Do you remember that one?
Oh my God! There's 21. That's what I wanted to sort of talk about.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, first of all, let's back up and tell everybody who this character is, because people may is immediately associated with Tom Cruise, and that's sort of where this starts.
Right.
Is because
it isn't Tom Cruise.
I'm at my brother's wedding in Mexico, and my uncle Skip Tarantino, who thinks that I know everything about show business, comes up to me and he pulls me aside and he goes, "Hey, can you believe they made Tom Cruise Jack Reacher?" And I go, "What is there?" I didn't know anything about it at this point.
Right.
And so I go, "Wait, that's a problem?" This is 2 years ago. I go,
"Oh, before you started reading them?"
Yes.
Okay.
No clue what it is.
Think about a Jack Reacher novel. You can read them all almost in a heartbeat.
It's a 3-day read, even if you don't have the
lovely.
time. Yes.
Yes, even if you don't.
So I am... get into it with him. I go, "Really, that's a problem?" He goes, "Let me tell you something about Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher is 6'5". The guy, he's 240 pounds. He's just a wall of a man."
Right.
And then Tom Cruise comes along, and I think he bought the rights to these Lee Child books.
Right.
And so now he gets to play this guy's 5'7", gets to play this character who's 6'4" or 5 and massive. And just his trademark move is a headbutt. He's just
the guy's a monster.
He's a monster who can take on a group of 5 guys and like calculate how long the fight is going to last and who's going to make money. He's playing a chess match with just headbutts.
My favorite thing in a Jack Reacher novel is that he always knows which way somebody went.
Yep.
It's like the car drove away and he's like, "Well, I think there's a gas station 3 miles that way." He went to the left.
He's a tracker. One of my favorite Jack Reacher things, and I keep going with the Skip Tarantino story because it goes further, but one of my favorite Jack Reacher things is he's getting a ride. I think this is in Never Go Back, and he's getting a ride. He sees a fire in the woods, and they have nothing. They're in the middle of nowhere. And he tells the guy who's like he's hitchhiking with, and this woman who's along for the ride with him, and they're on the run. He goes, "Let us off here."
Yeah.
Because he knows that's a meth lab that exploded and there's going to be money and cars there. So he walks up, takes the guy out, and then
he beats up a trailer.
Yeah, he finds the money, gets in a Corvette, and then people start chasing him and realize it's the guy's Corvette. That must be Dwayne's Corvette, and they start chasing him down. It's just so. Anyway, so I get information from my Uncle Skip about Jack Reacher.
Right.
Don't think anything of it. Then I go on the road. I do a horrible, horrible gig in Jacksonville at the Comedy Zone, which is attached to a hotel.
Yeah.
Do you know this gig?
No, I've heard about this gig. And the Comedy Zone, it's a red flag factory as far as I'm concerned.
So we, as comics, you learn not to stay in these comedy condos.
Yes.
And it's a hotel technically, but they put everybody in the same room. So technically it's a condo.
Oh,
it's a loophole.
That is a loophole because they don't clean it right.
Yeah, it's a suite. Now, Steve-O is staying in the room the week before me.
Yeah.
And I walk up to the bar to introduce myself. I don't even know this. Look at the calendar. And the bartender says, I go, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Al." And the bartender just looks at me and goes, "Steve-O says, go fuck yourself."
What?
Because I have this weird Steve-O thing.
Oh, right. I guess, yeah.
Anyway.
Welcome to Glimpsing Behind the Curtain of Comedy. Yes. And don't forget to watch I'm Dying up here on Showtime.
So I go, "Oh, shit, I'm screwed. I can't be in this room. And
Jesus.
because he probably rubbed his nutsack all
Everywhere.
over everywhere. The whole thing is just imagine what would Steve-O do.
What would Steve-O do? It's gross.
So I went to walk to a Target, did a sad, lonely highway walk that comedians
the frontage
do.
road.
And so I got a mattress. Blow up mattress thing because I figure I can cram it into I bought a bag to put it in.
Right.
And so I moved the love seat out. Yeah, I brought some sheets.
Yep.
And I made my own little makeshift bed by the window in the living room, and I slept on that. So I was trying not to spend as much time in this room as possible. So I found there was a mall. I went over to the mall. And there's a Barnes & Noble that I spent most of my time in.
Right.
So I'm wandering through this Barnes & Noble, and I land in front of these Jack Reacher books.
Right.
And then the feature act walks up to me and he goes, "You love Jack Reacher?" And I go, "No, I don't know anything about it." I go, my uncle Skip, he's a guy 6'4", and he goes, "They're the best.
Yep.
Why don't you read this one and this one?" So he grabs Killing Floor, the first one, which people should sort of start with.
It's
I
a
guess.
good one to start with.
It's nice to go in order because some of the stuff does track, and I sort of skipped around.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Killing Floor gets put in my hand, and I just grab another one. He goes, "This one's great." And so I forget even which one he gave me. So I breeze through those two.
And you're like, I am on board.
And then I go to New York, and this is not too long after. I'm in another Barnes & Noble. Can't believe they still exist. And
Their days are numbered.
Yeah. And I'm standing there in front of the Jack Reachers, and another guy walks up, and he goes, "Can you believe they made Tom Cruise Jack Reacher?"
Yes.
Yeah, and so then I go, I just read two. What other ones should I grab? And he goes, "Okay, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome." And then my mom starts making fun of me because I'm going through this series.
Right.
And she goes, "Are you really reading that crap?" My mom is a book a day person.
Right. But what is she reading? Literature? No. Exactly.
She's not.
So she's reading pulp of a different variety.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Well, she was the one that she lent me these two books that I'm reading right now. The
nonfiction, right?
No, it's all fiction. Well, there's a mix in there.
Okay.
I'm sure there's some. It's all reality based because it's but it's The Power of the Dog and The Cartel. It's Don Winslow.
Right. Okay.
And it's all Mexican drug dealer stuff.
Oh, fun.
And that's what we're laughing about in the kitchen is because I'm really forcing myself to chill out and relax by reading books about people who are getting decapitated.
Who take justice in their own hands.
Yes.
And because the thing is it's almost at this point, it's just a nice safety valve, quite honestly. I'll tell you, the reason I read, my mother's-in-law, Andy has two moms, and they have been together for 35 years. And they have read all of the Jack Reacher novels, and they will hand me these books, and they're all just murder. They're like, and so I read. I think I did read Killing Floor, and then I read the other one about that other town. But the other one was Killing Floor was good.
Yeah.
But this other one was actually, I liked it a little bit better. But I was like, don't get sucked in it. But there's only 21. What are we talking about?
You could
2
knock him
months?
out. Yeah,
That'll be
and he's
fine.
pretty consistent with cranking him out. So yeah, there was one that just came out in 2006. He's like one a year. He's good
Right.
for.
He's the Spencer for Hire guy.
Sure.
But now.
So this character that this Lee Child, I guess, used to work in television, and he set out to create the perfect character. So Jack Reacher is you know this from reading, but I just sort of want to tell people that are listening.
Yeah, because
So he's an army guy who grew up all over the world because his dad was a captain and his mom is this French lady, and so he really is has never spent any time in one place. So he ends up going to West Point, and he is highly decorated guy. He's the Silver Star and all this stuff.
Is he Vietnam?
Yeah, I think he went to
I think
Vietnam
he's supposed to be a Vietnam guy, right?
Yeah, and he's but he's
because the first one was written in '92, I think. That's when Killing Floor. Anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I brought a bunch of stuff. Killing Floor 97.
97. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So fair enough.
Anyway, he gets made an MP, so he's military police, but he's part of this special investigations unit. So it really is sort of like NCIS with Mark Harmon. It's a great story. It's like where it's just a procedural. You could have, and this is what I fantasize about, is doing a prequel TV series called The 110th, which is like his unit. And it's special investigators with all the tough cases, the MPs that and his group, sort of his group, because they've established some of these characters in so Neely and Lopez, and like they get together with like this old group of investigators.
Oh, right, because he's got this core group.
Yeah, there's the sergeants and all the people that sort of work closely with you, and they sort of appear throughout the series.
Got it.
So he's sharpshooter. He was like the only Army guy to win this Wimbledon sort of sharpshooting thing, and so he's great at everything.
Right. He's a min-maxed. He's the best D&D character in the world. So they're downsizing in the Army. He gets in trouble because he slams a colonel's head against a desk and actually goes back. I think it never go back. The dent is still in the desk. So he, rather than get demoted to captain, he gets just opts out. Okay. And he sort of... Was he a major?
He was a major, and he's a drifter.
Now he's a drifter. Who hitchhikes? He
hitchhikes around. He doesn't have any clothes or any belongings. He was getting like Western Union wire transfers. Yeah, and then because of 9/11, he has an ATM card and an ID in his back pocket,
and that's it. No wallet.
No wallet. That's all he's got.
All right.
So. In terms of clothing.
Is he getting the Sound Exchange money?
What?
There's got to be like a monthly thing happening.
Well, yeah, I think he actually, in one of the books, Leon Garber, who is his like mentor, leaves him a house.
Okay. Oh, right. And a car. East Coast or something?
Like
South Carolina
exactly. He has like this Virginia house.
Okay,
so he has this money. And if he doesn't have money, then he works as a bouncer at a strip club in Key West.
Sure.
And he just gets money wherever he can. He's a day laborer. Yep. And no other person has ever lifted more. And he's just like this hulk of a man.
Right.
And then he sees injustice.
And he jumps in. He has to stand up.
Sometimes he gets called in. They send him a cryptic message through like his bank account where a special amount of money is deposited. Right. And those numbers translate to a
27
code.
cents. And then
he knows that he can use a Venmo account.
Exactly.
So he is, he's just awesome character, and there's not a ton of sex stuff in there, but the ladies all love him.
He occasionally gets laid, right? I mean, but he's
I think
guy.
he consistently gets laid. He finds a lady in every book, but there's no like. I gave a couple to my son who's 14, and it's like these are great. Read these, and
right.
He wasn't that into it. But,
well, fair enough. I mean, he's probably dealing with his anger issues differently.
Sure. So that's the whole thing, is that these books and this character, and it's just the fact that I'm really forcing myself to. Initially, it was just I'm going to take the time to chill out a little bit because I have so much stuff going on, and I just
you get so many irons in the fire.
I do. I work, and I have these 2 kids. Yeah, and I have this family. You have a family
responsibility. But extended family too. Like you're constantly, every time I talk to you, you're like, "Hey, my mom is talking." So I mean, it's like I think
and luckily they're in San Francisco. My dad recently actually passed away. So we're scattering his ashes down in Mexico and going down for that. But I get anxiety when I'm not working. Bill Burr jokes
From
around
outside,
how I started
it looks like you get anxiety when you're not overworking.
Yeah.
It's.
Well, that's the thing is I'm the type. Well, he says, he goes, "Are you one of those guys who gets in his car and starts making calls?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I do it because I have calls to make."
You got calls to make. And I got calls to make.
And he goes, "Oh my God, you're one of those dudes who can't be alone with his own thoughts." And I took a couple days off, and I felt horrible. I felt incredibly depressed.
Right.
So I've got to figure that out.
Because your brain's a terrible neighborhood?
It
Is that what I
really
hear?
is, yeah. It's just,
I can't hang out up there.
when I'm mowing through these Jack Reacher books and I get to like sort of fantasize about being this guy who
Sure.
can handle all these situations.
I ought to be 6'5" and fully trained.
Yes,
You know what he can do? That guy can rebuild a gun in the dark. In the dark.
So, oh my God, one of the most anxiety I felt reading is when he gets trapped in this narrow, he has to crawl through this one crevice over to basically this militia takes him captive, and then he gets locked in this shed.
Right.
But he can sense, and it's just pitch black, and he can sense that there's a way through, and he can feel the strap.
Oh, right.
And he crawls through, and he gets almost like trapped.
Wedged.
Yeah, and there's bones and shit in there, and he gets wedged in between. But I was like, so anxious even reading that. But I don't do anything. I don't take any drugs.
Right. So you're not there's not another way to check out.
No.
This is entirely how I check out.
This is the way to check out.
I check out reading pulp novels of a variety. Like I read, there's a bouncer series about a bouncer in Sydney, Australia.
Oh, really?
And this guy is kind of a dirtbag, but you know, like he's like he'll shake people down for money. And he'll kind of half date rape women, and then, but something bad will happen, and so then he'll rise to the occasion,
He'll
right?
be forced in,
right? And then he's like, "Well, that's the line. That's you can't be pushing kids around, and that woman, give her back her hat, you know, or whatever." And then he will literally kill them. And if you
what is that?
I can't remember the name of the series, but if you Google Bouncer Sydney, Australia series, there's a boatload of them. And I bought it because I was in an airport in Melbourne, and there was a biker guy standing in the airport books. And I was doing that thing where I was standing in front of the books, and he was like, and he picked up one of those, and I was like, how is that? And he goes, "Oh, these are all good. These are all good." And I was like, okay. And so I took one and I read like 3 of them because they're like these, you know, you can read them in a minute. And then there's this other one that you might, I don't know if this one, it's a mystery series set in the Napoleonic army as they marched towards Russia in 1814. And there's murders and there's there's a cop for some reason in the army, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to solve this murder." And they're like, "We're all dying. Why do you care that there was a murder?" And he's like, "Well, because it was a murder instead of a war."
Yeah, sure.
And so, I mean,
I tried reading some of that Joe Nesbo, the Snowman. I wasn't into that at all. I
weird.
keep coming back to these.
Yeah, there's weird, like the ones you can read and the ones you can't read. Like I can't read. I've tried some Dean Koontz. Haven't been able to get into it. I've tried some James Patterson. Haven't been able to get into it. But they're no different. I mean, whatever.
It's all the same shit.
Whatever you need to check out with, knock yourself out.
So, and again, my mother, who just wanted to poo-poo these Jack Reacher books right away, has read every single one.
Oh, now she's tried them?
She's read more than I have.
Oh, my God.
She's up to date. She gets them all on her Kindle. She's like, boom, knocked them out. And loves them because they are well written.
Yeah.
It's not complete crap. And
No.
this is a great, great character that you can't help but root for.
So, and Lee Child was he in the service?
He's just I think what they have in common is they're both like massive guys.
Oh, he's just a giant
big dude.
Okay.
Yeah, Lee Child, I think, is 6'5". But I found this little quote from Malcolm Gladwell about Jack Reacher.
Okay. That's a tipping point guy.
Yeah, exactly. This is an article from the New Yorker. And he perceives the difference in the Reacher character and traditional Western characters in terms of the symbolism they represent to the general public. So in his opinion, because this character has always been around. It's the knight that wanders through, and
Louis L'Amour books.
Sure.
There's always a lone guy comes to town and helps people.
Exactly. So the traditional Western was a fantasy about lawfulness. It was based on a longing for order among those who had been living without it for too long. The heroes conduct themselves according to strict rules of chivalry. They act insofar as it is possible with restraint. In the world that we live in today, by contrast, we have too much order. Where we are, as we have been reminded so frequently lately, over-policed. And our contemporary fantasy is about lawlessness.
There you go.
Yeah, about what would happen if the institutions of civility melted away and we were left with just like this hard-muscled, rangy guy who could do all the necessary calculations in his head to ensure that the bad guy got what he had coming. And that's what it is. It's like, I think consistently what Lee Child does is he has like this. At the top of this, what Reacher is trying to stop is somebody just completely abusing power.
Right.
And there's one, and I forget which one this is about, like the dark web. Like he just finds a town that is completely controlled, by, that's what Killing Floor was.
Yeah.
It's like, but...
it's this Duncan family. That might have been it.
Is that what it is?
I think that was it, because it was this one family that completely controlled this town. And like the wife was being beaten, and and she couldn't leave. And then there was this extended, and he comes in and he's like, no. But I love that, because that's exactly what it is. It's like the line is there's the complete abuse of power, because Jack Reacher's very, very powerful himself. And so he could fix all of this stuff. It's like, when I think about the government, I'm like, why doesn't Amazon fix this? Right? Because I'm a Prime member, and they're very powerful. But but it's just, that's the fantasy. It's the lawlessness.
And if anybody has any other books and series that they'd recommend, please, because again, we started talking about this. Is that
you just unleashed a giant?
No, please, no. I'll try to get to them all, because I just bought a 1988 FJ62 Land Cruiser. I have.
What is that?
That is a.
Say those words again.
It's 1988
Okay.
Toyota.
Land Cruiser?
FJ62 Land Cruiser.
Is it a trucky thing?
It's a truck. It's an old truck.
Okay.
That I bought on eBay. Big eBay guy.
You bought a truck on eBay.
This is the third car I've bought on eBay.
Wow. You ever go to carcomplaints.com?
So, no, it was actually, I'm not even supposed to talk about it, but I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
No, I had problems with this one.
Oh, fair enough.
I ended up getting some money back.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm not going to out
And
the guy.
carcomplaints.com, by the way, you can look up by make and model of old used cars, and it'll tell you what people have complained about.
Oh, so this thing is known as one of the most rock-solid cars and SUVs of all time.
Oh, that's
so it's
amazing.
like the Volvo 240, that boxy Volvo?
Yeah.
Those are the best. Those can run forever. And then the Mercedes 123, diesels.
You know what my ideal car is?
What?
97 Camry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that is a war pony that will live forever. I would love a mint
Marin
Bach.
had that was Marin's car for a long time. I don't know if
It's the
it was
best
97.
road car. 97 Corolla, also good year in 97, but the Camry was big. And so you could crash in the, I dreamed about that car. I had what did I have? I had like a 92 Tercel or an 89 Tercel. That was almost as good. It would start 50 below. It would start.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So the Mercedes, this Toyota, but in Jack Reacher, they all fall into that sort of same category. I want to get one of those little teardrop campers that I can tow behind the FJ62, and I want to check out. But
you want to go off the grid?
I just want to be able to like get away for a little bit, because with the kids and with work. And I feel like as comedians, it's not as simple as it used to be. It's just like it's now everyone needs to be a fucking digital marketing major to to succeed.
If you could also do these other 4 jobs, and be really good at all of them.
Well, it's that Mitch Hedberg bit. It's
like,
hey, man, you're a comedian, but can you act? Yeah, it's like what?
Yeah.
Or you're a chef, but do you farm?
Right.
So I really am trying to do all this stuff. And starting All Things Comedy is a tremendous amount of work. I don't do my own podcast.
Right.
We're like you've been on board from day one.
Yes. I was psyched, actually. It was the only one I wanted to join.
So
yeah.
We have, and that reward, I'm telling you, in 5 years from now, it's going to be exciting because it's going to be a similar situation to what I was telling you about. Yes.
I would love that.
I know that's going to happen.
Okay.
So I'm sort of working my ass off before I hit 50.
Right.
But when I hit 50, it's going to be all reacher.
Write yourself a post-it note and remind yourself.
Oh, I know. Because then it's like,
because it'll be hard to slow down.
We had our 2 kids, my son is about to turn 15 and my daughter's 11.
Okay.
And they both went over friends' houses. And this is for the first time in
15 years.
15 years that we really have been. It was one night. And we were so happy. We didn't know what we were going to do, just being this married couple.
Right.
And so we were like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to dinner? Should we go to a movie? Should we go have drinks? And I think we ended up we went to dinner, but we ended up just going home. Oh, the next morning we went for a hike.
Right,
by
together.
ourselves with the dogs. It was crazy.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Anyway, I look forward to that. And I have these 3 hammocks that I don't lay down in. And I'm going to show you.
We got to talk hammocks at one point because Andy wants a hammock. But
oh, yeah. Easy.
All right.
So actually, when I went to, do you ever do that gig? Do you ever do gigs in Vancouver?
No, I've tried to get in for 1,000 generations. And if you're listening, Vancouver, still wanna.
Well, I think we should do also that thing that Paul F. Tompkins used to do, which is the Tompkins 300.
Yeah, you just go.
And if people want Jackie to go anywhere, like get some people together.
Yeah.
And that's how it could work with all of stand-up. And that's also what I'm trying to do with All Things Comedy. I want to try to eliminate the bookers from this equation. Mm-hmm. And I want to just create relationships with venues and fans.
Yep.
And if there is the demand, any comedian.
Any comic
will show up.
Yep.
I know that'll happen, and we want to connect fans with comedians directly, so it doesn't have to be this routed tour where
there's a condo.
Yeah.
Let there never be a condo.
Sure.
And don't
but anyway,
be offended that I don't want to
on that little island that they have over there, you take a ferry to there's this great hammock store.
There's a hammock store off the coast of Vancouver?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so you got to go up there. No, you can order all these things.
I have almost flown with Louis Lee from Acme. We're trying to plan it. I had a weekend plan. He was like, I can't do it. We're going to go to Vancouver because he says the best Chinese food in North America. He has family in Hong Kong who fly to Vancouver for Chinese.
Wow.
And he meets them there at least once a year.
Wow.
And so I was like, hey, I'll go to Vancouver for Chinese food and eat with you. He's like, we got to get a lot of people because we got to order a lot of food. I was like, fair enough.
That's amazing.
My sister will come.
Yes, there's a ton of Chinese. Well,
it's right by the airport.
Vancouver is having a huge problem with I think it's a lot of Chinese money coming in, and there's these ghost condos.
There you go.
You know about this?
No, but
San Marino, California, same thing, that people are buying. It's basically hiding all of their money. They can only now take out $50,000 at a time. But
because of mainland.
Yeah, so they're just buying all these condos. So you walk down the street in Vancouver and only see this huge skyscraper like condo building, and only see 2 lights on.
Right.
But we're getting away from
Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher,
and the purpose of reading.
And
Jack
the purpose
Reacher
is to slow down and not freak out, because I really do get so anxious. And again, I'm not on Xanax or anything.
Right.
And when I'm not working, and I don't know if it's the pressure of having the kids or whatever, but I feel like, okay, I need to go. And for me, TV work, where I make most of my money, has been fleeting because this is my 10th pilot.
Wow.
This show that's coming out is pilot number 10.
Wow.
You mix it in the Daily Show. I've been working consistently, but never knowing where the work is coming from.
Yep.
So I'm just scrambling all the time to provide.
And having the kids creates.
There's no messing around.
Right. There's
very little chill.
Jake Johansson, one of my favorite stories, used to sell this T-shirt that said "Touch It," and I was like, "What the hell is happening with this T-shirt?" And he goes, "Leave me alone. I have a mortgage and a kid." And I said, "Done and done."
Yeah.
So.
Well, he's also just since you brought up the name, and he's an All Things Comedy guy. He has his podcast called Jake This. And he told me a great story about Hollywood and the shrimp party. He goes, Al, Hollywood and being on a TV show or getting this big development deal is like when it's like being let into the best party of all time, and they give you the best drink you've ever had and a shrimp on a stick, and then you're eating it, and you're talking to everybody, and then your deal sort of goes away, and they push you out into the alley, and you're left with your empty glass and the toothpick, and you got to work your way back in, and you work your way back in. Well, he said at the time, he told me, he's like, I've been into that party 3 times. You know, he had his own sitcom that he was supposed to have. It was, you know, he could have been Seinfeld, you know, given that opportunity. And he said, you know, and I feel like now I've had this deal. I've had 5 deals to have the Al Madrigal show on.
Right.
Which is crazy.
That is crazy.
And I've written that show. Yeah.
5 times.
Everybody Loves Raymond has been written 5 times.
Wow.
So you're just hustling and hustling and hustling. And I'm not taking the time to chill and look out into this yard that we love gardening. We talked about that.
Right, because you love vegetable gardening.
I do. I can't get enough of it. Now I live on this hillside where I have every creature that is in Pasadena trying to eat everything that I put out.
Yeah. Do you have...
I had a swarm last year of baby grasshoppers mow stuff down. Just drill it like a locust. Just drill it.
Last year I had a real hard time with our garden. Almost got nothing out of it. And then this year, because of the amount of rain that we had, I think it's going to be good. Sure. And it looks all right, even though a couple of my eggplants are being eaten by something and I don't approve. Yeah. But whatever. But I've planted... I want to plant an entire row of zucchinis, even though zucchinis are a weed. And my neighbors, literally, I've had neighbors say to me, I will take 1 zucchini.
Well, because they're humongous. My grandmother used to grow just like...
You got to pick them quick, otherwise all of a sudden it's the size of your leg.
So... it's the gardening and I'll show you pictures of this backyard, and I just want to relax as much as I possibly can. But
are you going to do that when you're 50?
These books are helping me do it now.
Okay.
And if I have one, I want to have one going at all times, since now I'm into this Don Winslow thing. Okay. I took a break, but I'm going to jump back into Reacher.
Right.
And I am going to force myself to relax.
Yeah. There's only so much money, and your children should get jobs. You know, there's nothing wrong with providing for your kids.
Oh, when they're in college, I think that's, and then during the summers, they should find some way to make money for sure.
Yeah, get a work ethic. Go ahead. And I remember the first time I met rich kids. It was the summer of, I think it was 89, 88. I was working in Provincetown, Massachusetts at a hot dog stand. And the guy, 2 of the cooks at this hot dog stand were, well, whatever. They were 2 cooks at 2 different restaurants that were attached. And their dad was the CEO of Ocean Spray.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I was like,
Cranberry King.
Cranberry King. And all of their friends were these gigantically, massively, like one of their friends who didn't work, she had all of the drugs that I didn't care about, because I was like, I'll have a shot in a beer and it'll be fine. And, but she didn't have a job, and she was the biggest mess of all of them. Yeah. And, she had this amazing car, and she would sometimes drive up and go, hey, we're having a party. I've got, she had a laser disc player when he was 80. She had some sort of
She had all the stuff.
She had all the toys, and her grandfather had left her all of his money, skipping her parents. And it was pharmaceutical money. So it was some sort of insane, Xanax, giant bag of cash. But I remember talking to one of them, and I wanted to go to acting school, and I had been accepted, but it was the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, right? In New York. And they want a down payment. They need $6,000 because it's a tech school. And I was drunk and complaining about it to one of the Ocean Spray kids. And she goes, wait, you're not going to do something because of money? I was like, yes, it's a common problem. She goes, I have $6,000. And then of course we both sobered up and she didn't give it to me.
Yeah.
And it's fine. But they had the greatest work ethic, and they would talk about how their parents were like, no, ever since we've been 16, we've had to have jobs. And it's just get a job. Just get a shitty 15-hour a week
That's
job.
the other thing is, I'm really, really trying to take my kids. So we live in Pasadena.
Yeah.
And even though there's rich kids everywhere, for the most part, we go to we had the kids go to a very simple Catholic school.
Right.
When you saw me when I was on the Daily Show, I didn't move the kids out with me.
Right.
I flew back and forth every single
So you
8
didn't have to
days,
pull 'em
7
out.
days, so I didn't have to pull them out. So they stayed in this little Catholic school in Pasadena. All normal, very a lot of socioeconomic diversity in the school, and that was very important to us. But I catch my son all the time. Microsoft gave me an Xbox, right, when the Xbox One came out. My son is standing there with some of his buddies, and one of these kids goes, whoa, this is so cool. Where'd you get it? Mm. And my son goes, my dad got it for free. Mm. And I grabbed him after the friends left, and I go, hey, can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah.
Never say that again. I didn't get it for free. I worked my ass off. I did comedy for 6-7 years. No one paid me a dime.
Yep.
And I just I went and did horrible
It looks free
gigs.
now.
Yes.
Yeah. I see why you think it looks free.
Yeah, but I killed myself for that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've opened more veins than you have.
Totally. So, and then again, that's just bringing it all back to ATC and what we're trying to do. It's, we started these comedy careers.
Yeah.
Just because we loved stand up, and there was no money in sight. And then I feel like now there's a lot of comics, and it's this calculated push to do what people might want to hear, and to be the type of comic that,
they're like, when can I start making a living? At
Sure.
this? And you're like, I get why you'd want that, and good luck. But
I just only like the stand-up that is real, and I only like it if you're coming from a place that is pure. Anyway, and true to who you are.
Yeah.
And so that's why this has been a struggle for me, which I'm like sort of disenfranchised with the state of stand-up comedy right now, is because I feel like I might, again, at 50 years old, I might just jump out altogether.
And stop doing it?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't like going on the road.
No?
Well,
I mean, you were talking about this work business. About 3 years ago, I worked 45 weeks on the road.
That's insane.
It's Crazyville, right?
Yes.
It was almost 200 days or something like that. It was something maddening. And two of my good friends, or two guys that I like a lot, we would be friends if we ever fucking hung out, but they both got divorced that year. And it was because they were on the road that much as well, and both of their wives had affairs.
Wow.
And I was
Holy
like,
shit.
First of all, I would not have called that, because they are both handsome young men. And I was like, well, but so the next year, I was like, I'm not doing this. I am going to work. I'm going to take a month off every 2 months, and I'm going to stay in LA, and I'm going to remind people that I could work here if someone would find me work. Right.
Yeah.
And it has made me a lot saner. And there's feature creep, right? I mean, right now I'm on the road for too much, because people were like, well, will you do it? And I'm like, yes, of course I'll do it. But I know you got to slow down and make sure you're home.
Do you ever read any of the deathbed regrets?
No, what's really? Is that a Twitter?
No, it's just I'm going to read you some of the deathbed regrets. All right, just real quick. Let me wrap this. Let me see.
Because I have a question about if you think that Bill Cosby is still writing. Because I think he's still writing, but he can't get up.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Right? That's hilarious.
Why? Because of course he's never done stand up because he had to.
Right. That's
for
right.
30 years.
Number one, I didn't take care of my body. So
right.
What? Smoking, excessive drinking, compulsive eating. So that's a regret that people have. Is that
a deathbed regret? Okay.
I let anger get the best of me. This is a big
that's
one.
A deathbed.
Yeah, there you go. I spent my entire life in my comfort zone. So this is something comedians are not doing.
Right.
So we just take a big chance. Yeah. Well, you can though.
You can.
Later
Yeah.
on, it's like easy to sort of compromise your dream and just jump out at any time.
As of this day, I do some more mugging than I ever did in my my early years.
I spent too much time around toxic people.
Okay.
I didn't stay in touch with family and friends. Again, we get so caught up in work that we're not spending enough time with people that are close to us.
Yep.
I didn't give as much as I took.
Okay.
So, all right. I
Yeah.
thought I knew everything. It's number 7.
Right.
I never made any mistakes, and everybody knows that you have to. That sort of goes in line with getting out of your comfort zone. I hated my job, which,
Right.
again, I hated my job and I jumped out.
You got to get out. The
I was
thing is
firing people. I told you, for my parents' family business.
that was the last episode. You should totally go back, everybody, and listen to it because it's a fascinating story.
So I quit, and I was living in a moldy Silver Lake apartment with my 1-year-old. Let me see. I spent my entire life trying to be someone else. Was
Yep.
number 10.
You know, my dad.
Yeah.
I thought my dad was dying, and I missed his. He was going under the knife, right? He was getting heart surgery, and I'm second heart surgery in a row. And so he had just had it. I'm driving to the hospital. I get to the VA. I talk to the nurse. This totally happened, and I talk about it on stage. But I said to the nurse, so he went on. He's already under, and she goes, yeah. You know what's weird? He could have waited. We said we could have waited, and he knew you were on your way from the airport. And I said, he knew? And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, did he say anything? Did he have any last words for me? Anything? And she goes, yeah, he did. He said, tell her to do whatever she wants.
Oh my God.
And I was like, well, those are kind of the greatest last words ever. And I said, what do you think they meant? Do you think he meant today? Like go get a sandwich and not hang around his deathbed, or in general? And she literally, the nurse said this to me. She said, well, if he lives, you should ask him. And I did. And my dad, and he was drugged up on morphine, but he goes, oh, no, I meant in general. You should always do whatever the hell you want to do. And I said, I suppose if it doesn't hurt anybody. And he goes, nope. Even if it hurts people, do whatever you want. And I was like, wow, you said that out loud, Dad. And he was like, you might as well. Because my father, I mean, one of the greatest things my dad ever said to me was, and I'm condensing it because he's long-winded as I am, but he said, you might as well live your dreams because I'm going to make fun of you either way.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. He's like, if you don't do it, I'm going to make fun of you. If you do, I'm just going to say, look at the big shot. So you might as well do the thing you want to do.
I'm telling my kids to try hard and be nice. That's it.
Yeah.
So anything that
That'll do.
falls outside of that, I don't care about.
Yeah.
I really don't. So you can end up being anything you want to be, dominatrix, whatever it is. Like, be a great one.
Be the best car mechanic of your generation.
And really care about it and work on it and show up early and just like when you work hard, because you do get a lot of satisfaction from that. But again, I just really want to go for it. And I feel like then in the process of doing that, I get so wound up and I care so much about little things that you get back to having one of these books or a book like Jack Reacher around to say, okay, I'm going to go
3
in
hours.
that chaise lounge.
Yep.
I'm going to lay down out there and read this thing because I'm super into it.
Yeah.
But spend time with, just relaxing and not thinking about any of the, horrible shit we have going on or stressful stuff we have going on in our lives that really ultimately doesn't matter.
Right. You gotta get out of the screen. You gotta see if you can, if you're in a book, it's better, I think. And it's one step closer to being out in the world, look at someone in the face going, what happened? Did your car broke down? I'm so sorry.
Well, that's the way we were talking about at Al Madrigal. And I go, I'm not into that. I really don't. I took Twitter off my phone, the app.
Yep. I did it after the election. I just put it back on, actually.
Yeah. I don't want to be caught looking down at my phone.
In Hong Kong, there's in all the subway stations, there's a recurring, it's in Chinese and then in English, and the announcement says, do not only look at your mobile device. over and over. It's like a surreal Westworldy kind of feel to
Wow.
it. Do not only look at your mobile device, and then in Chinese. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need that going in my
Yeah.
house because I put this app, the one app I did put on is Moment.
It's called Moment.
Yeah, and it tracks how much time I'm on my phone.
Oh, really?
Today, but I use Waze and stuff like that, so maybe
Right.
it's not.
And it's almost noon.
And 2 hours and 52 minutes of my phone being up and on.
Right. Alert.
Yeah.
All right. That's a terrifying app.
Yes.
Ed Brubaker, a comic book writer, told me that he has a program on his computer that you can shut down the internet
yes.
you can pick as long.
Yeah, that I have that as well.
And it's good it helps him write. It said.
Correct.
So
All right.
yeah. So
Find your Jack Reacher, everybody.
What's a good one to start with? You brought me one.
I brought you one just because I loaned this to a friend and because I was done with it, and then I brought you Gone Tomorrow, and let's see which one is. Oh, this is a good one. Yeah, I like this. So Reacher's just on a subway train, and he notices that this lady has all the signs of a terrorist.
Yeah.
And she's wearing a down vest or something, a down jacket when it's really hot out. Someone's going, but it's a little weird. And
oh, nice. And so he, of course, talks to her.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read
when
that.
He shouldn't. He gets
totally
sucked
read
in.
that.
So, I think you start with the first one. I think you do try to go in order if you're going to take these out.
Yeah, the used bookstore didn't have Killing Field or Killing Floor right away, so I think I started with the next one available, and then I went back to Killing Floor when the used bookstore had.
And there's a lot of prequel stuff. I love when they go back to this 110th.
Oh, right,
unit.
like when he's in the
So
army.
yeah, I think that's what he did with the most recent one that I haven't looked at yet.
That's fascinating.
So yeah. Jump in.
Okay, everybody, Al Madrigal is at Al Madrigal that he is occasionally on. The big stuff. It shows up on Twitter. And almadrigal.com is updated, right?
The special just came out on Friday the 5th, so you can check that out on Showtime. And actually, I think on my website, if you guys want Showtime for free for 30 days, I have
There's a
code
code.
for that.
Not a lot of people live by a code. Al Madrigal lives by a code, you guys. So, plus, I'm Dying Up Here, the TV show, is also on Showtime.
June 4th, it's Melissa Leo. Jim Carrey is producing that. There's a ton of comics in it.
Nice.
I wrote on it as well.
Right.
So it's a show that I'm really proud of. That if you're a fan of stand-up comedy, you're
should.
totally going to be into. Yeah.
I'm Dying Up Here on Showtime. And Shrimpin' Ain't Easy just came out on Showtime. And if you want a free month, go to Al's website.
Yep.
Thanks so much for doing it.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
For everything you've done.
Oh, shit.
And Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?